We're done with module 1. I think we are due for a first break of the day. Shall we do that?
Yes.
Quick 15 minutes break.
Sure.
Okay, I'll put up a countdown timer on the screen so that we don't have to guess.
For how long, sir?
Yeah, I'll put up a countdown timer. 15 minutes, but I'll put up the countdown timer on the screen.
Okay.
One more request. Done.
Yes, sir.
Good. Let's see. Let's proceed.
Yes, please.
Okay. So we have discussed some fundamental concepts in service management. These concepts will be useful when we go and understand the core ITIL concepts like service value system, service value chain, and so on. Let's look at ITIL module 2, ITIL guiding principles. Module 2, ITIL guiding principles. So let's see what is ITIL guiding principles. In ITIL version 2 and ITIL version 3, it was commonly accused that the enough practical guidance about how to put the processes into practice, how to practically work on the processes, what are the human aspects of service management were not really considered in detail. I disagree though, but still, in ITIL 4, that is achieved by the introduction of guiding principles. So guiding principles are basically about understanding decision making process in every scenario. What principles you should follow when you take decisions in every scenario. There are 7 guiding principles. Please remember, these guiding principles are not processes. These guiding principles are not steps. These guiding principles are not activities. These guiding principles are not departments. These guiding principles are not sequential activities. These guiding principles are the things that help you to make decisions at all times. They are kind of lighthouse. You can look at a lighthouse and walk your path and chart your journey. Right? So these guiding principles are omnipresent. These guiding principles are relevant in every circumstances. These guiding principles should be considered in every scenario, in every decision making. Not that all these guiding principles will be relevant equally at all times. Sometimes some guiding principle may be more relevant than others, but let's see what it is about. So these are 7 guiding principles. These are 7 guiding principles. 7 guiding principles. What are guiding principles? They are recommendations to guide an organization in all circumstances. They are recommendations to guide the organization in all circumstances. Recommendation to guide the organization in all circumstances. Okay. Is the screen still visible?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Vishal.
Fine. There are recommendations to guide the organization in all circumstances. The organization's strategy may change, goal may change, the type of work they do may change, management structure may change, but guiding principle is omnipresent. Guiding principle is universal, all enduring. So these guiding principles embody the core message of ITIL, the core values of ITIL and service management in general. If organizations follow these guiding principles in all their activities, they will probably see success in all activities, in all circumstances, in all scenarios. Right? Okay. Seven guiding principles. Focus on value. I'm going to explain each one in detail. Focus on value. Focus on value. Start where you are. Progress iteratively with feedback. Collaborate and promote visibility. Think and work holistically. Keep it simple and practical, and optimize and automate. optimize and automate. Let's look at each one in detail. Focus on value. Any activity that you do should ultimately, directly or indirectly, contribute to value creation. Any activity you do that should ultimately contribute to value creation. So if you do not see the point of certain activity, if you do not see the logic of certain activity, you should not do that activity. Anything that you are doing should contribute to value creation, Focus on value. Everything that the organization does needs to map to, directly or indirectly. So some activities may directly deliver value. Customer support may directly deliver value. Audits and compliances may indirectly deliver value by reducing risk. Right? So what everything that the organization does needs to map directly or indirectly to value for the stakeholder. And value always means value from customer's perspective. Your definition of value does not matter. Customer's definition of value matters. Customer's definition of value will have to be considered, will have to be seen, will have to be focused on. So how do you get into the customer's shoes? How do you get into the customer's mind and think from their perspective, think from their point of view? UX, CX, have you heard these terms? UX, CX, user experience, customer experience, right? Think how users are going to behave, how users are going to work, right? Okay, so that is focus on value. Anything and everything that the organization does have to directly or indirectly should contribute to value, should be mapped to value achievement, value co-creation. Okay, principle number 1, focus on value. Next one, start where you are. So normally what people do when they go for starting a new project or go for improving the process, go for improving an activity, go for doing certain activity, they have a tendency to say, oh, nothing works here. Let's start from scratch. Let's forget everything that we have done so far. Let's forget everything that we have done so far. Let's throw away everything, all the work that has been done so far, and let's start from scratch. That is not a recommended guiding principle. That is not a recommended approach. The approach should be start where you are. There have been people, there have been processes, there have been activities, there have been stakeholders who have done this activity for last 1 month, 1 year, 10 years, 3 years, whatever. And when they've done this activity, there is probably a lot of learning that has been captured, a lot of success stories that have been captured, a lot of mistakes you have already committed and learned from it. Without considering what is available first, throwing away everything that you have done so far and starting from scratch is not a good idea. So the guiding principle says, start where you are. Do not start from scratch and build something new without considering what is already available, what can already be leveraged, what can be built upon. There's probably great deal of learning, great deal of information captured already in the activities presently, right? So it has an emotional toll also. When you are a consultant or when you are an expert and people are doing this activity for last 6 months or last 3 years, and you come to them and tell them, hey, okay, whatever you have been doing is wrong. Let's do this activity from the scratch. What you are telling them? You're telling them that I am the expert and you are useless. That's a wrong message. That will not help your cause. That will not serve your purpose. So always look at what have been done so far and start from there. Build on that rather than throwing everything away. So start where you are. Do not start from scratch and build something new without considering what is already available to be leveraged. The current state, how will you know what is available? How will you know what do you already have? How will you know what is the baseline? Look at the current measurements, look at the current data, current state, observe directly, do not go by pure numbers. The reports may show a very black picture, a very bad picture, but there are some things which are good but not captured in the report. So always go observe directly, go to the scenario, observe directly, and then see what you can reuse, what you can build on. You should always observe directly. Do not go by pure numbers. Otherwise, you will end up having watermelon syndrome. Have you heard about watermelon syndrome, watermelon reports? Heard this term?
No,
Am I
sir.
audible?
No.
Can you please?
Okay.
No.
Many times you present many service reports, service performance reports to customer. On the first slide, how is everything?
Green.
Green. And when you cut a bit deeper, you will see red with black spots, like watermelons. Green on outside,
Yes.
red inside. So this is called watermelon syndrome. The data which is presented to the stakeholder, to the management, to the customers can be misleading, can be misguiding unless you know the context. Let me give you a small example. How you should not look at only numbers and forget to look at context. It will misguide you. I lost 10 kg weight in last 1 month. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? Minus 10 in 1 month.
Good thing.
I was admitted in the hospitals and doctors were unable to diagnose what has happened to me. And meanwhile, I lost 10 kg. Good thing,
No,
is it?
no, that's not. It depends on what is your present condition.
Correct.
So,
It depends on the context. It
yes.
depends on the starting point. I was overweight and I consciously focused on my diet and exercise and I lost 10 kg. Then it's a good
Then
thing.
it's good. Yeah.
So that minus 10 in a month, that number is good, but it does not tell me anything, anything meaningful. Unless I look at the situation personally, unless I observe directly, unless I understand the context of the measurement. Getting it?
Yes.
Right. So start where you are, and to understand
so,
where you are, observe directly. Sorry, go ahead. What's that?
yeah. So basically, if we'll review ourselves, then we can know that what we are lagging and what we are already having, so
Right.
that we can prepare
Build on
ourselves
that.
accordingly. Right?
Yes, yes, absolutely. So look at yourself, look at the process you work on, look at the skills you have, look at the organization that you work with, look at the team you lead, whatever. Look at the situation and find out what can be built upon, what needs to be improved. Start where you are.
Yeah,
I
Makes
just
sense?
I just had one this
Please.
other way around. That start where you are and start from the scratch.
Hmm.
It's I can see that the start where you are is one of the guiding principle of ITIL, but
Hmm.
start from the scratch is also a approach that we use while building a project or a product, because many times when we have too many of failures, then we have to look around that what we are doing wrong, and then we sometimes at times
Hmm.
start that is making something from the scratch. I found useful because
It can be useful.
yeah.
It can be useful.
I would
Just
like
like,
to one.
yes,
Can I
go ahead.
add one
Go
thing?
ahead, go ahead.
Vishal? If we are starting from the scratch, then it can be very demoralizing for the organization also.
Yeah, in
So
case of,
for
let's say we have a fresh start, we have to
so that
we
business
have
model
customer
it can be
requirement.
revived or
Okay. So when and only when you review the state,
Actually,
the
my
current
question,
state, and you decide, just like, and then you decide that nothing of it is useful, we have to make a fresh start.
so
no,
Then
basically
yes,
periodic review. In my opinion, periodic review is required to assess our position.
actually my question is bit different, because whenever we have an initial requirement, then
Mhm.
we have to start from the scratch, because we don't know about the design, we don't know about the customer expectations,
Hold on.
anything.
So
Then
you
there we
arrived
have to
at,
start from the scratch. As the project moves on and we are providing support, then
Mhm.
the concept of continuous improvement came into the picture, and
Mhm.
then we have to work on start where you are,
Right.
because we are already
So when you
we
got the
are
first
progress in the
requirement,
project.
did you first review that is there any baseline that we can build on?
Baseline, yeah, that's true.
That's start where you are. And if you find out, if you consciously come to a conclusion that nothing we have done so far is of this kind, we have to go to the drawing board and start from the scratch. It's all right. But taking that approach without acknowledging what do we already have is not a recommended approach. I think what you're saying is, in certain cases, it would be logical to start from scratch. And I'm just adding to it that yes, in certain cases, it would be logical to start from scratch, but you arrive at that conclusion by reviewing what you already have and deciding that nothing of it can be useful. Make sense?
But for the very first step, let's say for the start of any project, how can we have something already in our hand? There we have to start from the scratch in each and every scenario.
Okay, fair enough. In your experience, how many times you have got a project which you had no idea about? I agree, it's a possibility. I'm just looking at the practicality of the scenario. How many times customers gives you a project which you have no idea about?
Yeah.
That's
We
what,
have
sir,
something right.
can I add something? Can I add something, sir?
Just a sec. Let me close on this one. So, will customer trust you if you have no idea about how to do it? You are starting from scratch.
Obviously, then the customer will not came to us if we didn't have any idea.
Right. So it may happen, but rarely. That's the point. So you may have to start from the scratch, but it's a rare scenario, and you should not go to that scenario unless you verify that nothing that we have today is useful. Make sense?
Yeah.
Right. Sorry, Soumya, go ahead. You had a point.
I wanted to say is, suppose a particular company, providing this separate certain kind of products and related services. So as a customer, if I need that kind of product, so I'll definitely go to that company, and they would be having their base knowledge, the baseline, requirement. They would be already having. So to add on, to give a valued service or product, they will add something more value only. They will not separately think out of the box and separately design a different product. So that's what I meant to say.
Agree. So there may be certain very rare scenarios where you are making cars and now you want to go to the moon.
Yes, yes.
You are Tesla and now you want to build SpaceX. But those are very rare scenarios. You know that what I forgot the name of that guy. What is that? What is that guy?
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk.
Yeah. So you are completely doing some different business and now you want to go to the moon. So it starts from the scratch. But for that also you have to hire engineers from NASA. But
he was investing in Bitcoin, then he done Tesla, and then again now to space.
So start from the scratch is a possibility, but in very rare cases. And you should validate those rare cases by looking at your current scenario that nothing that I have today can be useful. But in certain rare scenarios, starting from the scratch can also be the possibility. Make sense?
Yes, sure.
Now, let me add a subtle point here. We are discussing service management. Okay, we are actually to the fundamental of service management here, and that is triggered by Kirti's question. Good. Okay, let's see. Guys, there are what 25 people in this room. If I ask 25 people to make tea, will 25 people make the same type of same taste of tea?
No.
Never.
No.
No.
25
But
people will make 25 different types of tea, right?
But if you provide the recipe, then it may somewhat similar.
Hold on. We'll go there. So 25 people will make 25 different types of tea. Whose tea will be better? Depends who has more experience. Some has more experience in making tea. I have less experience in making tea. So some has tea may taste better. Possible. Is it okay to make 25 different types of tea?
No.
Yes.
Why not?
Yes, we can target 25 different type of customers.
hold on, we are not in a business as of now. It is just tea making. So it is absolutely fine to make 25 different types of tea.
Yes,
Now,
yes, definitely.
if you have a restaurant and you are a service provider of tea, now is it okay to make 25 different teas every day?
Yes.
No.
Every day a customer walks in and gets a different type of tea.
No.
No, we
No.
need
You want predictability. You want standardization. So when you are in service management, you want standardization. And how the standardization will come in? Soumya, you had that answer earlier.
Yeah. Recipe.
By defining a recipe.
SOP.
Right? So you define SOP, take this much of tea powder, take this much of water, whatever. You write 10 steps, and any chef who makes tea every day will have certain basic baseline quality of tea. And then you can build on that to make the service better. So remember, in service management, predictability, reliability, standardization are more important than innovation. I'm not saying innovation is not important. I'm saying in service management, predictability, standardization, reliability takes more preference, more privilege than innovation. There are
Innovation
places
is
and
more.
times to do innovation. Sorry, go ahead.
No, innovation is more preferable for product.
Yeah, but
designing
that too in defined boundaries.
Yes, yes.
Right?
Defined
I
boundaries.
innovated in my product so much that it no more works. Not good.
Yeah.
Okay. Getting the point? Okay. Principle number 2, start where you are. Next principle, progress iteratively with feedback. You already know a shorter name for this. Can someone please tell me that name? Progress iteratively with feedback. Come on.
Continuous improvement.
This is very simple. You guys have been hearing that term for like 3-4 years now.
Agile.
Agile. Progress iterative feedback is agile. Do it in iterations, do it in smaller chunks, and after every chunk, after every piece of work, check for the feedback. So progress iteratively with feedback is agile, is a very crucial methodology that has become popular in last 5-10 years, and ITIL 4 is co-opting that methodology, agile methodology. Anyone has done any agile certification, has any idea about agile?
Yeah, so I've done CSM. So it is
CSM.
iterative, and at the end of every iteration, there should be a valuable increment.
Yes. So incremental improvement should work in iterations, and at the start, in the middle, and at the end of every iteration, you check for the feedback. Those are the like key points in agile. Why is agile important? Why is agile important? What is the other methodology?
It's a waterfall
Waterfall
model.
versus agile. So why has agile become important?
So it is quickly to be able to adapt changes.
Right. So in nowadays business environment, predictability is a luxury now. Predictability is a luxury because the business environment is changing so fast that in waterfall model, we used to take 5 years to develop a product or develop a project, 2 years to test it, and 2 years to roll it out, and 1 year to stabilize, 1 year to stabilize. So it took 10 years. So at the start of the 10-year tenure, we knew how our product is going to look like. At the end of a 10-year period, we had that product ready in the market. People are using it. This used to work because the business environment was relatively stable. The world was relatively stable. You could plan for 10 years. You could plan for 7 years. Nowadays, in last 15-20 years, what has happened? The rate of change in the environment, not only business environment, overall world that you see around, is very fast paced. You develop a product for 2 years, test it for 1 year, roll it out. After 3 years, you don't know how the world will look like. So what people want right now, develop that, roll it out in 15 days, and then let's see what people want more. This approach is more beneficial because there is no value in planning for 3 years, 5 years in most of the scenarios. I'm not saying everywhere. In most of the scenarios, waterfall is still a method of choice in certain environments. But because the environment changes frequently, there is no time to plan and build for a long duration. So people want something to be built and rolled out quickly. And agile hence is more important in this environment, right? You imagine, so when you joined IT 5 years, 10 years, 20 years back, uh, 5 year, 7 year contract was a norm. 5 year, 7 year contract was a norm. Nowadays, do you get 5 year, 7 year contract? 5 year, 7 year projects?
No.
Nowadays, you get what? 1 year project or max 3 years. Right? So agility is the game nowadays. Remember, agile is not by default better than waterfall. Agile is preferred. Agile is better in some environments. Waterfall is better in some environments. Any additions here? Anything you want to add?
So yeah, it is. So the feedback is very important. I mean, what I want to say here is, the transparency should be maintained. So as long as the requirements are worked upon, it should be accepted by the customer by end of every sprint or the particular periodical time taken for making the product. And also,
agility is not about only quick delivery. Agility is about quick delivery and improving the next one. Right?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. Let me share an interesting example and then we'll move forward to the next principle. I was in a session a couple of years back, and there was a guy who specifically flew in from Abu Dhabi to join that session because it was a first title for MPT session I was delivering in the world. And that guy over a coffee, he says, is old student of mine. Has been my student for more than 10 years. The guy came in and said, Vishal, can you help me? Can you recommend some good software development company, mid-sized software development company? And we were in Bangalore, software development company. We want to get some application developed. I said, you are in Bangalore. You go downstairs and go on any road, you will find 10 software development companies. Why are you finding it difficult to get a mid-sized software development company to get your work done, get your application done? That guy said, no, for last 6 months, we had around 8 companies flew into Abu Dhabi, present their solution, their approach to me and other management team, and we kicked them out immediately because they're not understanding what we want. I said, okay, why? What's the problem? What's the issue? He says every company, every guy that comes to present their solution, presents their approach, starts with we are an agile software development solutions company. We will develop something quickly. If it does not work, we will improve it. We believe in fail fast. This is agile principle, fail fast. You know it, right? Fail fast and so on. So we cannot afford that. We immediately kick them out when they say fail fast because we are ADNA, Abu Dhabi Nuclear Agency. We are building a nuclear power plant. We cannot have an application that fails fast. It's okay if you take 3 years to build something, but once you build it, it has to run for next 20 years. We want it to be like most reliable, most stable, and so on. So in my environment, we do not want agile, we want waterfall and people who talk that language. So the point here is waterfall works better in certain specific environments. Agile is preferred in certain environments, but it is just that people have to give it a thought as to what is the ultimate business outcome we are looking at. Make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Progress iteratively with feedback. Then collaborate and promote visibility. Normally, today's service management game, today's service environment is very complex. No service can exist nowadays without it depending on 10 other service providers, 10 other parties. I'm sure you book Uber cab, right? So when you book Uber cab, there are actually 10, 15 parties offering different services to make that one cab service. There is a payment gateway involved. There is a satellite GPS service involved. There is a cab company involved. There is a driver involved. Then there is a mobile telecom provider involved, and so on. So it's a very complex environment. And in internal service management environment also, in your internal organization, Also, it is important that you collaborate across boundaries with your partners, with your vendors, with other teams, with customer. The word is co-creation here. The word is not throw over the wall. The word is co-creation. So unless you collaborate with all possible parties in all possible ways, it is impossible to co-create. So collaborate and promote visibility. If people understand the larger picture, they will understand what's their contribution towards the larger picture should be. Otherwise, if people do not understand what the larger picture is, there will be a lot of activity, no outcome, no progress. So you will have 10 horses pulling the cart in 10 different directions. Everyone thinks that they are putting in their 100%, but the cart will not move. So unless everyone is on the same page, unless you collaborate across boundaries, across teams, you will not have the larger picture understood and you will not see the success. Make sense? Collaborate and promote visibility.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Next one, think and work holistically. Think and work holistically. Let me explain. Have you heard the term? Have you heard statements like this? Oh, you know what? This is a technology issue. You change that server and everything else will work automatically. You know what? That person is a fool. You change that person, get a new person to do that job, everything else will work automatically. It's a process issue. No, you rewrite that process and then everything will work automatically. Have you heard these statements?
Yes.
Right? While diagnosing some root cause of the problem, we have heard this all the time. But we fail to understand that nothing works in vacuum. People do not work in vacuum. Processes do not work in vacuum. Tools, products, technology components do not work in vacuum. Vendors do not work in vacuum. Nothing works in silos. All of them are coming together in a certain way to create value, to deliver a service. People depend on technology, technology depend on processes, processes depend on people, people depend on vendors, vendors depend on technology, and so on. So all of it is interconnected. So do not think in bits and pieces. Do not think only in terms of technology. Do not think only in terms of people. Do not think only in terms of processes. It is people, process, technology, and partners coming together to deliver a service. So think and work holistically. Look at the complete picture. No service or no component stands alone. Nothing works in vacuum. You have to look at the overall picture. You have to look at all the components working together, service as a whole, and not only the parts. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Right. Keep it simple and practical. Do not over-engineer the solution. Do not overthink the solution. Start small and then you go on adding complexity if required. Many times I'm invited to the organizations to give them ITIL processes, process consulting. And they tell them, oh, we want a most comprehensive process. You have the most detailed process, give it to us, we will implement. I normally say it's not going to work. This 100-page process is what I wrote for that environment, specific environment. If I give it to you, it will be a nice document, but will never be in practice, will never be on the ground. The best way to evolve the process is you write down what you do and then let's build on that. So we'll start with 1-page flowchart, and then as the time goes by, we'll go on adding complexity, we'll go on adding further points, we'll go on adding more details. So to start with, keep it simple and practical. Do not over-engineer the solution. If you do not see the value of remaining 999 pages, delete it. Start with 1 page, and then you may end up with a working process of 5 pages. If you start with a 1,000-page process document, it will be a beautiful document, but it will never work on the ground. So if a process, service, activities, metrics, if it fails to achieve its objective, delete it. We don't want it. If it does not work on the ground, why do we want it just for a vanity purpose, just to make it beautiful? No, right? We want it to work. So start small, build on it. Keep it simple and practical. Use minimum number of steps to achieve the outcome. Use outcome-based thinking. What is the outcome of this? What are we trying to achieve? We don't do things because it is a tradition. We don't do things because you have always been doing it for last 1,000 years. No, think, question, probe, ask doubts, and then find out whether this step is really necessary. Otherwise, eliminate it. So keep it simple and practical. Make sense?
Yes.
Yes, Vishal.
Right. Okay. Next one, the last guiding principle, optimize and automate. Optimize and automate. Human resources are most expensive resources. Human resources are most expensive resources. Just a second. Okay. Optimize and automate. Why optimization is necessary? Why optimization and automation is important? Because human resources are most expensive resources. Not in terms of necessarily the cost you pay, but in terms of the potential they have. Each individual human resource can achieve wonders depending on the training and skills and competencies they have. And if you are using that human resource for mundane, regular, repetitive activities, you are not utilizing it to its fullest potential. Right? So as far as possible, optimize the mundane day-to-day, everyday tasks, and then use automation to replace human resources, to free up human resources for more critical, more important jobs, more important activities. Optimize and automate. These are 7 guiding principles. Focus on value, start where you are, progress iteratively with feedback, collaborate and promote visibility, think and work holistically, keep it simple and practical, and optimize and automate. Any questions, queries on this one?
Sir, the point promote visibility and think and work holistically seems similar to me.
Good.
Is
Let's
there any
differentiate.
difference?
Let's differentiate. Collaborate and promote visibility is collaborating with individuals, with teams, working across boundaries. And think and work holistically means think about all the components in that service: people, process, products, and partners. Right? So how the service is made up of, how this organization is made up of, is think and work holistically. And collaborate is focusing more mainly on the people aspect of it. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay, questions, queries, additions on this one?
You can move on.
Okay, fine. Focus on value. Everything that the organization does needs to map directly or indirectly to value. Start where you are. Do not start from scratch and build something new without considering what is already available to be leveraged. The description of what we've already discussed, the slides. Current state should be investigated and observed directly to make sure it is fully understood. Progress iteratively with feedback. Do not attempt to do everything at once. Even huge initiatives must be accomplished iteratively by organizing work into smaller, manageable sections that can be executed and completed in a timely manner, time-boxed manner. What we normally call it? Sprint. It is easier to maintain sharper focus for each sprint, each iteration. Use feedback before, throughout, and after each iteration. Collaborate and promote visibility. Working together across boundaries produces results that have a greater buy-in, increased likelihood of long-term success. Work and consequences should be made visible. Understanding and trust is required for collaboration. Think and work holistically. No service or element used to provide a service stands alone, works in vacuum. All of it works together. All of it comes together to deliver the value. So think about service as a whole, not just parts. Think about information, technology, organization, people, practices, partners, SLAs, everything that contributes to value creation. Keep it simple and practical. minimum number of steps to accomplish the objective, outcome-based thinking, optimize and automate, eliminate anything that is truly wasteful, optimize, use technology as far as possible to do repetitive things, and human intervention should be reserved for the activities which are really critical, which are really require human intervention. Remember, these 7 principles are not steps, they are not processes, they are not activities, they are guiding principles. These are the things you should consider when taking any decision. Will these 7 principles be relevant at all times? May not be. When you are taking any activity, when you are taking any decision or doing any activity, you consider all 7 guiding principles one by one. You consider all 7 guiding principles, and then you may realize that only 1 and 3 is relevant here in this scenario. You use 1 and 3. You may realize that only 2 and 6 is relevant here. You use 2 and 6. You may realize that only number 5 is relevant here. You use only 5. But you consider all and use what is relevant. Consider all and use what is relevant. Make sense? Guiding principles?
Yes, Vishal.
Yes, Vishal.
Okay. Any follow-ups, any questions, anything you want me to repeat? All good?
Yeah.
There is something to
Yeah.
eliminate. Sorry.
Hold on. Ravi, you are speaking?
Yeah, there is something to eliminate before we look for automation. So if there is a possibility, we need to eliminate first, else go for automation, right? So can you explain on the elimination
First
part of it?
optimize, then automate. Good. Let me explain that.
Yeah.
So normally, what are the candidates to automate some activity that you have been doing for last 3 years? You say, oh, I understand this activity now. I can invest in automating this activity with the help of tool, with the help of AI or whatever. What happens is over a period of 3 years, there is a level of bureaucracy that creeps in. So you started this activity. Let me give you a simplest of the example. How in very critical activity, bureaucracy creeps in when the activity becomes repeatable. You have a security guard at the gate of your office, and the security guards are supposed to check for your ID cards. Do they check for ID cards or do they check for the lanyards? Practically, how it works. If you wear the lanyard, the ribbon only, and keep the ID card in your pocket, do they still allow you to walk inside?
Yes.
Assuming it's not automated again.
No.
Yes.
Yes, they will do.
Because the activity becomes repetitive, just because you are wearing the ribbon, they consider that you have the ID card. So how can we make it better? We use the single entry turnstile gates, it is called. Turnstile gates to automate it.
Yeah.
Right. So you have first looked at the activity to optimize it. Are these guys checking for lanyards or are these guys checking for ID cards? These guys are checking for lanyards. So the process has become inefficient. So you have eliminated the wasteful part of it to optimize the activity, and then you have put an automation solution to it. So when you do automation, if you do not optimize, if you do not look at whether this activity is really needed to be done, what may happen is you may end up automating activities which are not required. So hence, first optimize, look at the practical need of those activities, and once all those activities are verified, then automate. So optimize first, then automate. Make sense?
Yes, Vishal, got it.
Right? Okay. Questions? I think someone asked some other question. Anyone? No? Okay. 7 guiding principles, all okay? Shall we proceed?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Vishal, you can proceed.
Right. Normally, there are around 8, 10 questions on the guiding principles part. 8 questions out of 40 on the guiding principles part.